Like Huns for Vinch and Saracens for Viper. Good stuff. All right, let's turn this chat off because we don't want to get spammed out by these scrubs on the left side. No, I'm only kidding. But we don't want to get spammed out. So down to the southwest of the map, then, guys. In the purple, once again, we have Wolfpack, Vinch, aka Vinchester, which is probably more well known as. And off to the right side of the map, in the blue, we've got the Viper playing as the Saracens. So I called it. I said he may play as a non-Hun player to give himself a little bit of a challenge, perhaps. I know he does that. I know after winning a couple of games, he'll just choose a random civ, or he'll choose a civ that puts him at a disadvantage, perhaps. And the Saracens are a bit of a tough civ to play in 1v1, I think, and we'll talk about that very soon. So Viper versus Vinchester. This is a live game on a live stream. It's been a while since I've done a live game like this, but I'm looking forward to seeing how this one will go. Now, the last game, we saw the end of it. We saw Vinchester had a really good game. Like, Vinchester played that last game really well from what we saw. But Viper did make that comeback, and I mean, that was one hell of a comeback as well, because the fact that he had no access to his main and second gold for 90% of the game to come back, get to the Imperial Age and push it all the way back and take the win, pretty impressive stuff from the Viper there. However, playing as the Saracens, going to be at a small disadvantage, I think, and like I said, we'll talk about that very shortly. But before we do that, we're going to look at their maps and see what these guys have to play with. Now, I think, you know, the Huns have a lot more options on Arabia, that's for sure. They do have options in this kind of matchup against the Saracens. Saracens have no direct economy bonuses, and I suppose you could call their market bonus an economy bonus, and I suppose we might see the Viper using the market later on. Oh, Vinchester messing up that dear lure slightly there. But you don't see too many players picking Saracens in a 1v1 Arabia matchup anyway. So they don't really have that eco bonus, and the Huns, of course, not needing houses is technically an eco bonus, but their sheer speed and their versatility is what makes them a great civ on Arabia, more specifically anyway. So we'll take a look at the maps, like we'll see, and like I said, well, Vinchester's gold here is kind of in an awkward position. It's not too far from his TC, but it is at the bottom of this hill, which means that any archer units on here well, they are going to get that attack advantage downhill, picking off villagers on this gold mine very easily. The berries at the back are not too bad, and we may see a wall from Vinch coming across this way a little bit. Palisade wall, maybe. We may see a tower up here from Vinchester, depending on how aggressive the Viper plays this one, and in order to keep that gold safe. If he wanted to wall this right side up, he would have to go very far out. He'd have to wall between here and here. He'd have to wall here and here. But other than that, it's actually quite an easy wall to secure this entire right side of the base. The only downside with that is, like, the further away you wall from your TC, the further away you wall, the further your villagers have to walk to repair it. And that means that it's more likely for the wall to get busted down. So I think it's more likely for Vinchester, even though this is an easy wall on the right side, I think it's more likely we'll see him kind of, you know, walling close to his TC. Looks like he's going to do a drush here, though. Barracks coming up at a pretty early time. And to be honest with you, I don't blame him. He's not got a very nice map at all. He's got a forward second gold, a forward stone. He's wood at the front here. It's pretty horrible. He just lost a villager as well, I think, right there. Yeah, villager under the TC going down. Oh, man, that's a really costly villager at just 7 minutes into the game, and doing a drush as well. Bad start for Vinchester. Like I say, his wood's not amazing. This wood here is obstructed by the oasis. This wood over here is really far away on a hill, and the only good wood is at the back, and it's pretty small. You know, Vinchester's wood, it's very small, and you shouldn't mock him for this, but what can he do about it? There's not a lot. It's just the way of the generation. So yeah, he's not got a great map. Playing aggressive here, perfectly reasonable thing to do. And I think against the Saracens, again, it's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. Viper's up to feudal right now, which gives us approximately a minute to talk about his map. Now, he's got a much better map. He's got a much better gold at the back. He's got an easy wall off on this right side if he wants to take it, keeping this entire section very safe. And, well, he's got a forward wood, which is not so nice, but again, fairly easy to protect given this cliff here. Viper, though, typically doesn't tend to wall up all that much, and we're going to switch back to Vinchester now as this drush comes in, and I accidentally clicked on Unit Spy, my bad. So we can see exactly what Vinchester sees as he brings this drush in, and kind of analyze this from his perspective, as he is the one making this aggression. So we see this barracks coming up from Viper here. Obviously, Vinchester at this point knows no drush from Viper. It's unusual to see the Saracens drush anyway, but you know, you could see a counter drush if, for instance, Viper sees the barracks early. But Vinchester's coming through with these 3 militia, and he has now got to get a villager kill, because if you think about it, in this situation, he's already lost a villager to the boar. Viper's really going to start pulling ahead at this early point of the game unless he gets a villager back. And Viper went up with 21 vills, which is pretty standard, and he's probably going to switch either into scouts or archers. At this point, it makes more sense to do archers, I feel, but Viper's style might make him do scouts, might be more common. But good drush so far, and these berries on the front are a great location to send that drush towards. Berries, you always pretty much can guarantee your opponent's gonna be on the berries at this point of the game. So nicely done by Vinch. He's costing Viper some villager gathering time. Sure, he's not killed a villager yet, but he is gonna get some villagers down. We do see that stable there from Viper as well, so indeed that's kind of in line with what he would like to play this as, and gonna be able to quickly, with that stable, send the counter attack over. And I think that's one of the things why, well, one of the main reasons why you do that. Vinchester's clicking up to feudal now, he's on the way, and he's keeping this pressure on this berry patch, which is really nice. And you know, so far there's 2 villagers down there. He's harassing the berries, which means Viper's got less food income. Viper's doing scouts, he needs all the food income he can get. Spearman in here, taking a bit of damage. It's in there mostly to deal with the scout though. And Viper now getting 3 scouts. He's going to obviously go up to 4, probably 5 before he really wants to engage, but 4 might have to be the number he settles on if he wants to get this counter attack out quickly. So yeah, looking pretty good for Viper at the moment, given his map, given that Vinchester at the moment is not even attempting to wall up here after this drush, so it's going to be a drush fast castle, we can pretty much guarantee that. But the fact that this drush is going reasonably well for Vinchester might allow him to pull this off. It all depends now on whether Viper cleans it up and counters attack quickly enough. And we'll go back to, well, we'll go to Viper's point of view for a second, I guess. Good attack for him. He's attacking downhill with his villagers, and he couldn't have taken that engagement better if he tried. He didn't lose a single unit. Vinchester losing all 3 militia, and that was a really perfect place for him to engage that. He had his 2 scouts attacking downhill. He brought 2 villagers over, and this is one thing that I know that, you know, a lot of top players do. They have really good judgment on it as well, and that is when they decide to bring their villagers into fight. And bringing their villagers into fight is not something you see all that often, but when they do, it's very well timed, very well executed, and that was perfect, really. Viper now coming forward straight away on the counter attack, straight for the gold, because we know full well that Vinchester here going to be switching into crossbows. Well, not crossbows, sorry, cavalry archers, of course, if he's fast castling. Now, that gold, not going to be so easy for Viper to hit. He is putting up a tower. I said right at the start, he's probably going to want to tower that right side, and indeed he will. On the back, Viper's going in with those scouts still, trying to pick off some villagers, but more to the point, just trying to disrupt Vinchester's economy. Killing villagers is nice, and if you want to make 4 scouts worthwhile, it's probably, you know, in order to do that, you need to kill, in my opinion, 2 or 3 villagers to really make them pay. But if you can enforce villager idle time, then even if you don't kill a villager, could be worth it. Vinchester, though, this is kind of a risky move. And that's a pretty bad lumber camp placement as well. But there you go. Viper picking a villager there, avoiding that spearman for as much as he possibly can. And this is what I was saying earlier on about Vinchester having a very bad wood. That is a horrible place to take wood. It's really open on the front there. Viper, oh man, losing 1 scout, but nearly picking the scout of Vinchester. His micro is fantastic today. And there you go, getting that pick and avoiding that spearman. The reason why scouts obviously are so strong, oh, look at this. He's all over him. He's all over him right now. Fantastic micro by Viper there. The Scout's just obviously outmaneuvering the Spearman by far. But Vinchester made it to Castle. He's actually starting to do the Bodkin upgrade. He's just finished it, rather. And we've got him bringing out those cavalry archers straight away. No doubt he will be able to pick off these Scouts now. But he doesn't have bloodlines at the moment, and that is going to be a while before it comes in. But that's not too important at the moment. The immediate priority for Vinchester is to get out as many cavalry archers as he can, as quickly as he can. So Viper's clicked up to the castle age now, and this is where you've got the back and forth. You had Vinchester kicking it off with the Drush, Viper pushing it back with the scouts, and now Vinchester pushing straight back with these cavalry archers. Bodkin Arrow's done, and obviously that's great because he doesn't have to invest in the crossbow upgrade. The Hun's cavalry archers are cheaper, and that makes them fantastic for raiding. Viper's prepared with skirms though. He's always on the ball, let's be honest, and skirmishers in this situation are going to be the ideal defensive unit, but he really doesn't want to overinvest in skirmishers here if he can help it. And so far he's done a few archers as well, and putting up a blacksmith now. Okay, so he did a stable and archery range. Of course. So blacksmith coming up, which means he doesn't even have fletching at the moment, which is not good for this engagement. If he can avoid it, he's going to want to avoid the engagement until he's got fletching done. But Vinchester's raiding is nice. He's raiding in two positions, one on this left wood line, one on the right gold. He's killed one villager so far, and two villagers in fact, one on this left lumber. Really good raiding by Vinchester there, losing a single cavalry archer. Two villagers for one cavalry archer is a worthwhile trade, and Vinchester at the moment possibly in the lead, but it's all going to change I think when Viper hits castle here. He's certainly going to potentially retake the score lead very soon as Viper hits castle and goes for the crossbows in this situation. Straight away with the crossbow upgrade, straight away coming in with Bodkin now. The problem here for the Saracens, and like I said at the start, I don't think the Saracens are stand up to much of a chance in the mid and the early game here, is because crossbows really don't stand up to cavalry archers. The crossbows have half the health of a cavalry archer with bloodlines, and they don't have the attack either. They have less attack. So, I mean, cavalry archers are a fantastic unit, and obviously the Huns getting them cheaper make them even more fantasticaler. That's even a word. But they're obviously so good. So Viper's gonna have to do crossbows because, I mean, Saracen Knights, no. I mean, they're okay if you've got your enemy making a bit of mangonel, for instance, but bringing out Knights, not really ideal since they can't upgrade past the knight there in the Imperial Age. So Viper's not really got much choice here. He's kind of got to go crossbow, and I guess really he's just kind of hoping that he can get to perhaps the Imperial Age a bit sooner. Perhaps he can work on his eco a little better. But at the moment, Vinchester 1 TC pressure, and Viper's got no idea at the moment that Vinchester hasn't added in his second TC. He's got no idea about that, and Vinchester's coming forwards with a mangonel. He did a siege workshop first, and he's holding this right side because obviously this is the best place to engage from the top of a hill. The rest of the Viper's base is fairly flat. So pretty huge at the moment for Vinchester here. If he can get a good mangonel shot, then that could be a game over for Viper already. And that mangonel's coming in. Oh, it's a great shot on the front there. If he'd have been slightly further back, he would have done a lot more damage. But there's no doubt that Vinchester has a big advantage. Great split from Viper there, though. But that mangonel is causing some big issues. And Vinchester's getting in that wood line. Villagers going down. And the mangonel here, potential for a huge, huge shot. But Viper's micro, really very good, avoiding all of those mangonel shots. He is just on the ball today and actually focusing down the cavalry archers before the mangonel, and there's the knight taking down that mangonel. Of course, you know, if he didn't manage to take down some of these cavalry archers first, that mangonel, although those knights would have died, well, that knight, sorry, single knight would have died a lot faster. Unfortunately, still died. The mangonel stayed up, but great defense from the Viper there. He was attacking uphill, remember, that entire time. And that was some really, really impressive micro from him. I don't know if he's realized, but he's actually got some archers on this left side that seem to have been idle for a while. And if they'd have been in that fight, that could have been a different story. Viper got the downhill attack on the mangonel. He's going to take it down. And that is exactly what he needed to do in that situation. And now he's got a little bit more of an opportunity here to perhaps strike back. Downside, of course, is that he is going to be playing a fairly defensive game here. I mean, cavalry archers can run circles around him, and there's very little he can do in that kind of situation. Viper is God, you say, but Viper is housed. And that's obviously a small mistake from him. But you bear in mind now, Viper's up to 3 TCs. He's defended this early aggression, and he's seen that mangonel as well, so he knows he's in a position now where he has a superior economy potentially. At the moment, Vinchester has more villagers, but that's going to change pretty quickly, I think, as Viper has 1 TC extra. Could always change against him though, as Vinchester comes into raid. 2 villagers going down. Oh wow, yeah, Vinchester doesn't have ballistics, so 1 villager going down. And Viper here actually doing ballistics, I think, right now, and that's coming in pretty quickly. Obviously, didn't prioritize that over his 2 TCs, but with ballistics, certainly going to help with micromanagement. Certainly going to help with damage output, and until Vinchester gets ballistics done, that's going to give Viper a nice potential when it comes to attacking here against Vinchester. This is going to make his micro much better. So Vinchester doing Thumb Ring now, and obviously these cavalry archers do need some more upgrades. He's still lacking bloodlines, which is part of the reason why Viper's been able to do so much damage with these crossbows so far. But yeah, I mean, oh man, walking straight into that Mangonel. Oh, he's not paying attention. The Mangonel, great shot. I guess he was focused on these guys over here. But until Vinchester gets Bloodlines, Viper's going to be able to do some more damage. But Bloodlines is about to come in, and this is where it could get pretty hairy for Viper now. It could get very hairy for him. And you know, once the Bloodlines upgrade is done, his crossbows are going to be struggling. At the moment, looking at the military count, Viper's got 19, Vinchester's got 18. But Vinchester's military has twice the health. And it's got more attack. So it's fair to say that Vinchester effectively has double the units almost at this point. Not only the fact that they have more health and more attack, they've got more speed. Going to be very difficult for these next few moments. And Viper at this point might consider getting out a siege workshop here to support these units. His wood actually getting pretty high at the moment, and you know, he's obviously seeding a lot of farms right now. Needs to make sure he's got a good food economy, and yeah, there's a lot of wood. So actually putting out some more stables and archery ranges. Obviously his economy is now not fully boomed, but 67 villagers to 61 for Viper versus Vinchester there. Viper in the lead there. But now he's got to the point where he's got more villagers out. He's still going to be investing a lot of food in villagers, but he can certainly spare some resources for for military production, and that is exactly what he needs. But Vinchester on this left side, a great attack with these 3 mangonels from behind the wood line as well. Just that TC is in trouble. Viper could bring in the repairs, but Vinchester's going to come straight in with the cavalry archers and clean those villagers up. So I don't know if Viper's going to leave that TC to die. His army a little bit out of position on this right side to engage that. And to be honest, he doesn't want to engage it anyway. Not with 3 mangonels. He might be a micro god, but against 3, that's basically impossible. And down that TC goes, which is a huge loss for Viper at the moment. Yet Viper's still ahead in the scores, and I want to have a quick look at the KD ratio here as well. Viper's killed 30, lost 37. And I think even though the scores say Viper's in the lead, I feel at the moment that it's fair to say Vinchester is truly in the lead right here. But we will see. Viper's bringing in some knights, and I can only assume that's to deal with the mangonels, because he's not really done any upgrades on there. He's done +1 defense. They're certainly not going to be, I don't think, for raiding, but we'll see. He's doing bloodlines at the moment. I don't know what he's going to be able to do with those knights, in all honesty. I guess we'll find out. Military-wise, Viper's got still a deficit here. But yeah, there you go. He's going straight for the mangonels. Bloodline's just about to kick in, but it's too late. Bloodline's coming in, but he's already sent the engagement forwards. The 3 mangonels here. A little bit in trouble, though, now. 2 more knights coming through. And again, good engagement. He's backing away with those crossbows. That mangonel is going to go down. Oh, wait. My bad. I take that back. 3 of the mangonels went down, which is not a bad trade for 4 or 5 knights. But if he'd have waited just a second longer for the +2 defense and bloodlines to come in, maybe he would have got more. But he's still doing a really good thing here, mixing those knights in. But man, those mangonels could be so deadly if they get into range. But there you go, mangonel down. He can now engage, and Vinchester is actually just about to lose his military advantage, I think. No, it's very close. It's very close. Viper on 18, Vinchester on 23 at the time of saying that. So Viper now switching into Elite Scab. And this is where things could get a little bit risky, but he's continually bringing down these mangonels, and that's a really good play by him. He's got +1 attack on these knights as well. The only problem is here, he's investing these resources into these knights, but that is not going to be so useful for the late game. If he goes into Mameluke, then yeah, that's going to be a little more useful as the game goes on. And I think, you know, Mameluke late game for the Saracens is going to be very strong against the Huns, because think about it, cavalry archers, paladins, they're both cavalry units. What do Mameluke excel against? Cavalry units. But at the moment, those upgrades are going to be pretty insignificant until he can get Mameluke going, and that's going to be some time. They are so expensive and it's so costly to do. It's going to take a while to get there. So, you know, those upgrades costing him. Whereas Vinchester right now, if you think about it, he's had this kind of period where he's not had to upgrade any cavalry. He's got a few more resources, perhaps in the bank at the moment, investing them a little bit more in military. But still, the KD at the moment is looking still in Vinchester's favour. His units perhaps a little bit more expensive, losing quite a few mangonels. So overall, it's probably about even in units, in resources lost even. Resources lost, my bad. But Viper now with some light cabs. It looks like he wants to get on the raiding at the moment. And doing light cavalry is certainly going to slow his Imperial time down a little bit. But I still think, you know, he's going to be alright. He's up to 4 TCs now, and he's working on that castle there. He has to win this fight, though, or at least win it long enough, or hold it long enough so he can get this castle up, and it looks like the castle will succeed. Vinchester, nice use of rams, and you don't usually see this so early on until, like, you usually see this more like in the late game with capped rams and sorry, I almost called them Imperial rams, siege rams, soaking up that arrow fire. He's doing a pretty good job with it so far. But he's not willing to commit to a castle ram rush at the moment. I think Viper may just make it up to Imperial first at this rate. Villager-wise, he is a total of 16 in the lead. Pardon me. And I think Viper's priority here, obviously, is to defend. And you can clearly see he is the defender in this game at the moment. But I think his priority is defending and then getting himself to the Imperial Age in a good time so he can maybe do Mameluke, which I would love to see, because it's not a unit you see all that often. But I'm just so happy we get a non-mirror Civ matchup right now. I'm so happy about that. Focusing down the siege with the cavalry there, fantastic play as ever. But Vinchester's moving around to the left side here. Viper's army looks a little bit spindly at the moment. He's got 27 military versus Vinchester's 40. And Vinchester here upgrading these cavalry units as well, which for the Huns, yeah, go for it, because they are going to be upgraded to Cavalier later on if the game goes in that direction. Viper's doing camels at the moment. Saracens, of course, with the best camels in the game for at least Age of Empires, the Conquerors. AOF, that's a different story. But on this left side, engaging with those elite skirmishers, lacking the +2 defense upgrade, but then again, so is Vinch. Vinchester's like, what the hell's going on? And I don't think he meant to go in there. That was certainly a big mistake from him. I mean, he went in there into the TC fire, into the elite skirmishers. That was clearly a misclick from him. I've also got light cavalry from Vinch as well. Nicely done. Viper with more stables on the right side. Actually doing a lot of camels now, but he's nearly clicking up to the Imperial Age. And I think this is where Viper starts to shine. Once he hits the Imperial Age, and once he's sort of like, you know, his economy's done, and you can put that behind him, I think that's where he starts to shine now. So a lot of camels coming out, and we're starting to see those Mameluke as well. I spy with my little eyes something beginning with M, and Viper's clicked up to the Imperial Age. 5%, it's going to be a while before he gets there, but this is now where he just hammers out the military, get those military units on the field, and of course go for the upgrades as well. But yeah, this now is where I think Viper makes the push back, because Vinchester, he's held for the entirety of the Castle Age, the map control, he's got Viper in his base. Viper's hardly struck him back, even with the light cavalry, he had to bring them back before he managed to raid, and Viper now with the upgrade to Imperial could be on his way to do a lot of damage on the front against Vinchester. Vinchester's not far behind though. And I did say Viper would probably be first, and I was right, but Vinchester is not too far behind. We've got a castle coming up in his economy, probably in anticipation of some raiding. Typically speaking, you don't see the Huns making too many castles to make Tarkans. They're usually for another purpose, and that's kind of defense. But Vinchester's like on it right now. He is on it like a car bonnet, that is for sure, because he's straight up here with the barracks, and that says to me halberdier. He's gonna go halberdier. And that makes a lot of sense given what he's seen so far. He's seen these camels, he's seen possibly the Mameluke, he's seen the early castle on the right side. which, by the way, is in a decent location, but it could be better, I think. But yeah, I think with this castle on the left side, he's basically got his 2 flanks covered there. But Vinchester going to win this fight by the looks of things. And once that castle goes up, he's going to struggle pushing through. So there we go, going back. But we've got spears coming out now for Vinch, and he's going to switch into halbs. I wonder what he's going to support it with, though. That's going to be the interesting one, because now it's going to be Vinchester playing the defensive game. And I'm loving how back and forth this game is going right here. Viper's coming up with the heavy camel upgrade right now, and that interests me. I saw him building all these camels. I'm thinking, all right, well, you know, heavy camel could be a possibility. But he is really committing to the heavy camel, isn't he? I think he's also probably going to do more light cavalry from these stables down here to try and raid Vinchester's economy. The Viper's retaken the map control right now. Vinchester's just up to Imp, and he's doing pikes, but he'll upgrade to Halb as soon as he can. And Viper, well, I think he probably has an idea that this is coming. If we just do Alt F, he does see these barracks going up. And surely he must assume now that we're going to see a lot of pikes coming his way. The Viper's prepared. Arbalest coming out, and you know, this is just like the really quick reactive play. And I think there's 2 types of reactive play. There's a defensive type of reactive play, which I think Vinchester's doing here. I think Vinchester's reacted to the camels, and he's reacted to this. Whoa, look at those guys go! You couldn't see them, they're behind the castle, but they're like bob, 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 back and forth. But yeah, Vinchester's playing pretty reactively here by making the halbs for a defensive purpose. And Viper's playing pretty reactively by preemptively making the Arbalest before the Halb upgrade even comes in to counter those Halbs. Halberdier just complete, and Siege Ram coming in now as well for Vinchester. Did not wait around with that. The Viper's raiding coming in pretty quickly, does not waste any time. Light cavalry on this left side with +4 defense, +2 attack, killing quite a lot of villagers, even with this castle in here. And Viper at the moment has got 42 extra military units on the map. Heavy camel's done, all the upgrades on the defense are done, so he's just going to go for that engagement, and he is going to kill it, because those cavalry archers do not stand a chance right there. And unfortunately for Vinchester, it's all downhill from here. I mean, Mass Halberdier have a severe disadvantage. That disadvantage is that they are not mobile enough. They are purely for defensive purposes. You send them out and try and raid, they don't last 2 seconds. I guess the same can be said for camels, but the camels here are really only just to focus down the remaining cavalry archers and any knights that Vinchester may have done. So Vinchester's still pumping out those cavalry archers, maybe thinking that that's his best shot. Now, if he could take down the Arbalest, that'd be pretty good. If he can take them down and then bring the Halbs out, that would be even better, and then maybe he could deal with the camels there. But still, Viper at the moment looking great, and you know, he does not waste a second of time when it comes to pushing out, and when it comes to just taking advantage of any time that he gets. So Treb deploying on these racks, and there's the Halbs popping out. There's a lot of Halbs actually, and Viper here I think gonna lose a few camels. I don't know why he's engaging that. It took him way too long to get back, but camels managing to survive for now, and that's quite a lot of Halbs right there. A lot of cavalry archers as well. Vinchester's got +3 on those guys, and he's pushing up that hill. Looks like Viper's gonna lose his Arbalest, and I think actually with these siege rams coming in, Vinchester has taken this fight very well. The downside is Vinchester's now fighting underneath 2 castles, and that is never a good thing. Even if you've got war elephants, I don't care. Fighting under 2 castles, not a good thing, but Vinchester is gonna get this. He is so gonna get this. Castle down. Second castle exposed. Treb deployed on it. Rams coming in. And Vinchester could not have done that any better, but my god, this left side of Vinchester's villagers. How many has he just lost? 20? 30? Nearly 30, I don't know, but that is a nuts amount of raiding there. But Viper's been pushed back, he's lost his 2 forward castles. Vinchester's aggression there was absolutely perfect. And Vinch even doing the heavy cavalry archer upgrade now. Is this the comeback from Vinchester? It would be interesting if it is, but wow. Viper's getting away with too much on this left side, really. He is. Look at this. Look at this lumber camp. My god, Vinchester's realised like I said, Vinchester has a terrible wood. The Viper's still raiding away. He's still got a very large villager lead. I mean, Vinchester now, 84 vills. Viper, 148. That just says it, doesn't it, right there? But I don't think Vinchester's going to push much further very easily. And I think at this rate as well, Vinchester may be running out of steam pretty quickly. Overall population, Viper's population capped right now at 190 with 200 on the way, of course. And then Vinchester's at 100. He's got double the population. This game is in the bag for the Viper, and even though that attack from Vinchester there was absolutely perfect on the hill, everything else that was going on in the meanwhile gave Viper the win. And that's the GG from Vinch. Well played indeed. Very, very enjoyable game. It was great to see non-mirror Civ matchup there, and Viper just dominant as ever. We saw some great micro on the hill on the right side. We saw a very back and forth game as well, which was definitely enjoyable. And you know, I think the game getting to the late game was going to favour the Viper. I think typically speaking, when a game does go to the late game, it fairly often benefits the Viper anyway. But Vinchester there gave it a good shot, just absolutely outclassed at the end, I think. So well played, and GG. Let's go back and find out what's going on next. Thank you very much, Vibe Alive, for becoming a Wallalow Warrior